Welcome everybody, RC here on the grid, and I'm really excited to be able to bring to you Lightroom everywhere, anywhere. It's one of those things where it's like caffeine habit, put it away.
Put the water out.
Caffeine habit, put it away.
Keep it handy.
By the way, my name's RC, and I'm really excited to bring you Mr. Terry White. What's going on,
What's going on, man?
How are you?
Good. I'm good.
You've been busy, man.
I've
You've been here
busy
for a
man,
couple
I
of
know.
days, and I'm like, it's just Terry.
Yeah, I know. We always see each other in the hall in passing.
Oh, call me, Terry. Just call me. But anyway, glad you're here, man. Thanks for coming by.
It is good to be here, always.
It's always good to see you. It's always good to see you. Guys, we're going to start this off just a couple of different things. Scott is on tour.
Yes, he is.
Right? So he's out, if I'm not mistaken, Detroit.
He is.
I believe that he is in Detroit.
He's in my old neck of the woods.
Is he?
Yeah.
So you're in Atlanta now.
I'm in Atlanta now.
Right. So I always think of you every time I come through in Delta.
Yeah,
I was like,
you come
Terry's
through
house.
a lot if you fly Delta.
It's all on Terry's. But anyway, so Scott's out there. Sup, Scott? Sup, Brad? Hope you guys are doing well on tour. And so we're running a little light, just to kind of let you know. And we'll be monitoring your questions. If you are following this and you're on here, make sure that you go to kelbytv.com/thegrid and join the chat. We want to make sure that we hear from all of you. Now, the thing that we want to do today is we want to talk about Lightroom.
Yep.
Right. And this was something that I got to give you credit for on this, because we were talking yesterday. We're driving around. We're like, what are we going to talk about on the grid? And you're like, oh, why don't we just talk about Lightroom?
Yeah, it seems to be a popular subject.
It is. And it's one of these things that, I mean, we spend a lot of time. Like, I have a tour. Scott's got books. We do a lot of work on the Lightroom side of it. But sometimes I think we overlook the fact that there has been a lot of changes that have happened in Lightroom that a lot of people don't even know about.
Exactly.
So that's what kind of this episode is going to do here. So Terry's a font of information from Adobe.
Yeah, I actually work for Adobe, guys. So I'm here at Kelby One. I don't work for Kelby One. We did a broadcast earlier this week for Archon Mounts. I don't work for Archon Mounts. I work for Adobe. I just happen to be everywhere I can be promoting Adobe products whenever I can. So thanks for the opportunity to do this on the grid.
Yeah, man. So we're going to just try to answer a bunch of things and just talk a little bit about some of the things that you may not know.
Right.
About Lightroom. Some of the things, we're going to try to answer your questions as best we can, because obviously I don't work for Adobe. I work with Adobe, not for Adobe.
He doesn't. I do.
So very big distinction.
So give him all the good comments, me all the bad ones.
But so right off the bat, you knew it was going to happen. Can we also ask other questions like on Adobe Muse?
Sure. Okay, so here's my questions rule. If you're asking me a question about a feature, how something works, can you do this, can you do that, those are great. But if you're saying, my graphics card is having this issue displaying this particular thing on this particular application on this particular laptop on this particular day, that's an Adobe Care question. That's a specific to you and your setup. Best to contact Adobe. They'll be more than happy to walk you through troubleshooting that specific issue on your specific setup.
Or they can hire you for like $2,000 an hour. Or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Come fly over to your house.
I'll fly. Oh yeah, you're gonna pay me.
Click. You forgot that cable.
Right, $2,000 an hour. Yeah.
And
I'll
we're
fly
out.
to you and answer your question. So questions are welcome. Yeah, if you want to ask me a Muse question, I'll be happy to answer it if I can. But if it's a tech support, I'm having a problem, Adobe Care is better for that.
Now, gear questions open?
Gear questions are open, yep.
Because what's this?
What's that? I thought you meant from the audience.
I'm sorry, just the one thing that happens that a lot of people don't know about. So Terry and I don't get to talk all that often. We're always in the circuit, but we're always crossing each other.
Yep.
And every now and again, I'll call Terry and be like, Terry, what do I need for this? And it doesn't happen all that often where I have something that scoops Terry. It's always me going to Terry. It happens very rarely.
But no, it happens.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I'm always just like, what are you using now? All right, so what's this?
All right, this is the evolution of keyboards that actually became my favorite keyboard cover. So this is, it's by Logitech, and I'd have to even think about the actual model name of this, but it's their Logitech. Oh God, I'm blanking on the name, but it's
it's a Logitech.
it's a Folio keyboard.
Okay.
And it's a Folio cover keyboard, and it's for the Air 2, so it's very thin, very light. And when I say evolution, I've used every version of their Folio keyboard on every iPad since like the iPad 3 on up. And the problem I've had with every single keyboard I've tried is that the keys Like, for example, in earlier versions, there was no shift key on the right, things like that. And
Right,
I
right,
talked to
right.
other people that was like, I never use the shift key on the right. So I can understand why they leave things out, but they finally got the keyboard right on this one. I'm not constantly hitting the tilde key or going for the tilde key and turning it off by hitting the power button. So they got things right in this particular, here, let's go this way, this particular setup. So this is my favorite keyboard for the iPad, even though that wasn't the topic today, but he asked.
I know. I just saw it and I was like, ooh, what's that?
That's the Logitech Folio
Okay.
Plus Air
Cool.
2, whatever they call it, keyboard.
Cool. All right. Now, before we start the entire, we're obviously not going to take you through an entire thing of how to be able to use Lightroom. There's no need for us to be able to do that because obviously you guys are probably Kelby One members. If you're not Kelby One member, please consider joining Kelby One. There's a lot of training on that. But we do want to give you kind of a general overview of how to be able to work with Lightroom everywhere.
Yep.
And one of the first things that I think that happens with this is how do you get those pictures that you have locally in Lightroom to be available?
Right. So
everywhere?
let's talk about that. And can my computer be up on screen at some point? Oh,
Yes, it
good.
can.
Wow. Ask and you shall receive. All right, so here's my computer. One of the questions I usually get, especially from new Lightroom users all the time, is we all understand what folders are. We get folders. Folders are on your hard drive. They actually have the pictures in them. Lightroom's just referencing those pictures on the hard drive in those folders. But then when we scroll down, there's this area called collections. And that's the part that some people are saying, well, if they're in a folder and I can see them, why do I put them in a collection? Why would I need to? And the best analogy I usually give that people get it right away is, well, if you think about your music library, let's say you're using iTunes and you have 10,000 songs. Well, those songs are from different artists, different albums, different genres. Some came from the iTunes store, some you ripped from your CDs, some you got from other places, which hopefully you didn't, but some you got from other places. So you have music from everywhere. And then when you go to listen to music, you don't listen to song number 1, song number 2, all the way down to 10,000. You put them in playlists. That way you can rearrange the order. You can do anything you want in that playlist. They can come from different albums, different songs, different artists. So think of collections to music playlist. So these are like playlists for your photos. These are collections or albums of your images in the order you want them in, no matter which shoot they came from, which folder they came from. So for example, if you want to rearrange them, you can pick them up, move them around, which you can't do in a folder because in a folder, they're only sorted by what they're sorted by. Once they're in a collection though, and you go up to your identity plate, whatever it says, whether it says your name, your logo, or Lightroom, and you click, there will be a Start Lightroom Mobile selection. Sync with Lightroom Mobile. There'll be a Start button there. Now, of course, this is for Creative Cloud members. If you have the non-Creative Cloud version, we'll talk about what you can do. But for right now, this is for Creative Cloud members. You can click Sync, and that will sync any collections that you've enabled. So it doesn't start, someone said, well, are all my pictures gonna be on the cloud now? No, none of your pictures will be on the cloud until you go through the process of saying, I want this collection to sync, I want this collection to sync. So what that will do by clicking Start, we'll put a checkbox next to each collection, and you can then click, and now those images are syncing. Now the other big thing we get is, well, I shot in RAW, I shot in JPEG, I shot video, I shot all kinds of things that are huge. These RAW files are very big. Do we want those syncing up to the cloud? Absolutely not. So what happens is Lightroom behind the scenes is creating and syncing smart previews of those images, which are suitable for viewing, editing, and even doing your non-destructive edits on any other platform. And we're gonna get into that in just a minute. So if I go up here, it's saying that it's syncing 2017, 16, it's generating those smart previews and syncing them up real fast because it's not having to sync up the high res. What's a smart preview? It's a representation of your photo that's 25/60 on the longest dimension, and it's great for viewing, exporting for the web, sharing, social media. It's pretty much great for everything except 2 things. You can't edit it in Photoshop if you don't have the actual file with you, and you can't print it very large. Like you can't print a super large print because it's not the full resolution file. But for everything else, Smart previews are great, and that's what Lightroom Mobile uses.
And smart previews. The funny part about it is, I think when smart previews came out, full disclaimer, I still have some problems with smart previews.
Okay.
I have some ways around it.
We're going to work those out. We're going to work through your issues today.
It's okay. Well, but it's one of those things where I think what happens with people is they turn around and they say, well, I can't do that. Well, like, I want to be able to have all my files available to me everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the times I'm like, what? Do you edit all the time, everywhere, everything that you do? Do you print all the time, everywhere, everything that you do? No. So why would you want all of that stuff? Like, why would you want all of that stuff available to you, especially when you're working in kind of like a removable drive scenario or a NAS storage scenario? Like, I say NAS, what I mean is just something that gets plugged into the internet. People get freaked out when you hear the word NAS. But these are all different ways for you to work with it. And I think that the smart previews are a great way for you to work because you don't necessarily have to carry those raw files with you.
So my Lightroom catalog has, I'm looking at it now, has 184,700, here it is, right here. 184,710 photos in it. This is my main laptop that I'm working on. I don't have enough drive space, even remotely.
How much drive space do you have?
It's 1 terabyte, but that's nowhere near enough to carry 184,000 images. And as RC said, I don't even need 184,000 images with me. But what I do want with me at all times are my edits, any image I've ever edited in Photoshop that comes back to Lightroom as a PSD. I want all of those with me, just in case I want to use them or share them. I want my portfolios. So my portfolios, if we scroll down, my portfolios in Lightroom are collections. So if I go to my concerts portfolio, those are all the concert images that I've shot that I felt portfolio worthy. And of course, I want to be able to show those off on my iPad, my iPhone, on the web, or whatever. So I don't need the 300 images I took from those concerts, or 3,000. I just want my best. And those are in a collection that I sync with Lightroom Mobile.
I think that probably one of the most misunderstood things, and this is kind of getting off the point, but I think that probably one of the biggest misunderstood things in Lightroom is the collections and collection sets. And I think that once you get that, and once you get how to use that, your use of Lightroom kind of just goes through the roof.
Absolutely.
That organization that you need, and I in the Lightroom tour, we talk about how to be able to do it. I have this analogy that I do, we'll work it through. But it's one of those things, like, once you get it, you know it, and then you're like, got it.
Yeah, I love collections. I have all kinds of collections for all kinds of reasons.
But here's the same setup. Like, here, so we're talking about this. So
you've got more than I do.
So I've got, now, mind you, I've got, so I'm on one, right? So I have 215,102, right? I would probably say, without exaggeration, maybe 100 of those pictures are actually any good. Like, everything else probably just sucks. But I have that.
RC, I've seen your work. It's at least 110.
110. It's 102. But I have 148 gigs free. Right?
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of space. A lot of this stuff I don't have to carry with me, and I don't rank. And I think smart previews help you with this. But so when you click on that, it's going to sync automatically to the cloud by the generation of that smart preview.
For example, when we go back to this photo, here's one of Prince that I took in concert. And that's actually... the girls just went crazy on set, by the way. So here's an image of Prince that I took. And I don't have that image with me. It's at home on a server. But I do have the smart preview with me. So you know what I can do? I can go into the develop module. If this were a missing photo, I would not be able to go into the develop module.
Right.
But here we are, somehow in the develop module that's doing some kind of weird mirroring thing.
Yeah, I think it's a mirroring thing.
It's a mirroring thing, but okay, there we are. We're not in the develop module anymore. Let's see. All right, well, if this mirroring thing wasn't happening, I'd actually be able to go into the develop module and work on this photo. So I can go in, for example, let's go in and just take all the saturation, even though we're not seeing it in the develop module. So now when we go back to the loop view and look at it, I've edited that photo non-destructively with the Lightroom abilities to edit, and it's now syncing that up to Lightroom Mobile using Creative Sync, to my iPad, to my web browser, to my phone, everywhere that Lightroom is. And more importantly, when I do connect back up my drive that has that image on it, it will apply the metadata changes to the high-res version of that file. So I have the ability to work with that image that I shot years ago that is not with me now.
So, and when you shot this Prince thing, you probably shot with one of those little desktop tripods, right? Because he's like,
Yeah, well, he was doing his little thing. Yeah, he was,
like,
he was little,
like
little,
just,
he's tall.
they just pick him up like this and put him on the table. Like, here you go,
He
buddy.
was actually standing right on my table when I shot him.
Was he? It's like standing on your laptop. The desktop tripod's bigger than him.
No
like
Prince short jokes now.
I like Prince.
Even though I
Prince
participated in it. Prince is awesome.
I think Prince is great. He fits in your book bag and you're all set. Anyway, but all right, so that's the one thing. So we talked about the concept of how to be able to sync.
Yep.
How to be able to put it into the cloud. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break? Now that we know that you can just click one checkbox, we talked about collections, we can put them up there. Let's talk about all of the different places that you can go get it, and we'll start with the iPad.
Absolutely.
Okay, so stick around. We'll be right back right here on the grid.
I've been shooting headshots since 2002 when I started my headshot business. Headshot photography in New York was going crazy and I needed to earn a living, and there was never anything out there or any information for how to take a good headshot. Fast forward, headshots are crazier than ever. They need a good headshot, and it's not only actors. Everybody has a digital identity. I wrote a book called The Headshot. It is everything that I have figured out over the last 12 years of shooting these suckers and becoming known as one of the best headshot photographers in the world. I go over everything. You're gonna get the lighting, you're gonna get positioning, you're gonna get the way I direct them. It's all about expressions and connecting with your subject. I'm gonna give you all the tools to do that. When I do a headshot that somebody looks at and goes, wow, that's me, to have the ability to do that well is something that you gotta have in your repertoire as a portrait photographer. I'm Peter Hurley. This is my new book, The Headshot. Check it out wherever cool books are sold. Shebang!
Hey guys, welcome in the Netherlands, Amsterdam. This is my home country and my name is Frank Dorhoff. If you want to learn more about studio photography, the first thing you have to understand is how do you build your own studio? There are so many problems you will encounter during the building of your studio. The size is too small, the size is too big. What do I do with the walls? And the list goes on and on and on. In this class, I will give you a lot of tips about how to build your studio. But of course, I will also show you some cool tricks with lighting, because that's of course a very vital part of your studio. So check out my class on building your studio on Kelby One.
Welcome back, everybody. RC here on the grid with Mr. Terry White. We're talking Lightroom, man.
Talking Lightroom.
Talking Lightroom. Answer all your questions.
All things Lightroom.
So it's just funny because like we're sitting there and everybody was giggling because we saw the thing of Frank Dorhoff show up, and I'm like, Frank Dorhoff is like the opposite of Prince. Frank Dorhoff.
But have you ever heard Frank sing?
I have not heard Frank sing.
There you go.
I've seen Frank do a roundhouse kick.
All right.
He almost knocked off the top of a building. It was really weird, dude. It's like, never mind.
It's a good thing he's a friend.
Never mind.
Can you imagine if he wasn't a friend?
I know, dude. Frank Dorhoff is like 42 Prince high. So anyway, sorry, I digress. Right. Now that we've taken all of this stuff and we put it into the cloud.
Yep.
And the internet up there.
The internet up there.
Up there.
Yeah.
Up in the sky.
Wait, there's one.
Pictures in the sky.
Right.
We want to access it now, and this is where I want to kind of like stop and just talk about this, because I think that Adobe historically has. I don't want to say that they sucked, but it felt to me like a lot of the times they didn't really kind of understand how to be able to leverage what was happening in the mobile space. You don't have to comment on it, just my opinion, non-employee of Kelby, or non-employee of Adobe. But recently, with the stuff that they've been doing on Lightroom and things like Slate and things like that, you can tell that a lot of people have been paying attention to this. And Lightroom has gone from a program that people are like, I don't know, to, you got to check this out.
You got to check this out.
You have to check this out. The first thing that they've done is they created this program and they created this entire thing called a freemium model.
Yep.
So before we get into it, what is the freemium model? How does it work?
Well, freemium in general means that you give something away for free and you have value in the free thing, but if you really want to take it to the next level, that's when you get into the paid thing. So that would be a freemium model.
Okay.
I don't necessarily consider the mobile apps a freemium model per se, because again, they can work standalone, but I guess, yeah, if you want to take it to the next level, a membership definitely helps. So for example, one of the things that I heard someone even the other day say, well, yeah, I didn't get into Lightroom Mobile because I don't have an iPad. Or I didn't get into Lightroom Mobile because I don't really care about editing on my mobile device. And if that's where you are with your understanding of Lightroom Mobile, you're like 2 years ago. You were right 2 years ago. But a lot of things have happened.
Much has changed.
Much has changed since then.
Much has changed.
So let's switch to my computer. And we left off, we edited that smart preview again, because I don't have the photo with me. But now let's switch over to my iPad. And I'm going to start with the iPad because that is where we started. Lightroom Mobile was originally just an iPad app. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to Lightroom. And as you can see, the interface has completely been modernized and just made better. And if I go to my Portfolios Concerts, there's that edit. So I can go in and I can make adjustments here. And I can say, you know what was I thinking? I don't want to, and yes, I do want to update the process version. That's weird that it's asking me that here. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that, you know what, I prefer to have it the color version or have it back to a particular version of that photo. So I can make that adjustment on the go. And like I said before, I have access to all of my portfolios. So if I wanted to go into my landscapes portfolio here, my landscapes portfolio is here, and I can sort by whatever method I want, and I can do reviews, and I can go through all of my images this way. I can go full screen, I can swipe, look at each image, and so forth and so on. So yes, that was the iPad experience, which of course has gotten a lot better with more editing tools as we go. But Lightroom is so much more than just a mobile app right now. So for example, let's do something, and I want to make sure we do this right now because a lot of times I run out of time to even show it. But let's go to the web browser. And in the web browser, I went to a URL called lightroom.adobe.com. That's the access point to access all of my photos in Lightroom on the web.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
So this is Lightroom.
Lightroom.adobe.com.
On a browser.
Lightroom in a browser, that's right. So if I go to my concerts photos, there they are, the same ones that we talked about before.
Oh.
Same one. And here, even this has gotten better and newer since October 5th. Not only am I looking at the same photo.
This is my favorite part.
Oh,
This is my
I'm
favorite
looking at the responses of the people around the room like, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking at Lightroom in the browser. But here's the thing that most people don't even know, even if they knew that Lightroom was in a browser,
Do
it.
Do the part.
On October 5th, that button got added. Yes, if I click edit here, I am now bringing that image into the Lightroom mobile editor in a browser.
Yep.
So I now have the ability, once that image loads, I now have the ability to basically have the most commonly used develop functions in a browser. So if I wanted to do the exact same thing, where I came in and I turned down the saturation of that photo, and maybe I also want to crop it too, I can go to crop, and it was kind of straightened out before.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. Look at you.
I'm like, I don't know about that. It just looked just a little off.
All right.
Really.
Anyway, we can also play with the presets, the color presets, creative presets. So basically, again, the same common functions that you would have had if you don't have an iPad, you would have had on your iPad, including one of my favorite features, dehaze. Dehaze is now here in Lightroom on the web.
See, and I
so
think that,
wait, if I go in and save this now, it's saving that metadata change. It's not having to upload or re-download or do any of that. And if I get out of it, that change is now making its way through Lightroom Mobile to my iPad. Yep. Oh, let's go. Oh, here it comes. It's coming back down. It's coming back down. Okay, it's made its way into all my devices. And if we go back to Lightroom on the browser or in the desktop version, we'll give it a second here. That change should sink its way back down. And
it's going to take a second because, I mean,
and there it is. Yeah. Okay, so there it is. It's made its way. And if I go to the iPad, which is where we were earlier, let's go back to the iPad for a second. Let's go back to concerts. And there, it just happened. So whether I make the change in one environment, the web, desktop, mobile, the point is my changes are made everywhere. I don't have to oh, I got to wait till I get home to edit that photo, or I got to wait till I get home to flag that image or review my images. I can do them anywhere.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing that shocks me, because like watching people in the audience, and like our studio people are like, get out. And I'm like, yes, there has been so many things that have changed on Lightroom that make it really, really good, and no one knows about it.
All right, I got one more.
No one knows about it.
I know, I got one more. Let's show this. So we looked at some of these photos earlier, and let's say I want to share these with my client. Well, obviously, I don't want them going to lightroom.adobe.com and looking at all my photos, which they wouldn't be able to anyway unless they logged in. Notice there's a button up here that says Make Public. Because this collection was synced with Lightroom Mobile, I now have the ability to make that public and generate a custom URL for that specific collection. There it is. I could copy and paste it or just click on it. Now it takes me to a web browser that shows me just those photos. I can share that link. The person can go through, and they don't have to know anything about Adobe. They don't have to know anything about web or Lightroom. They don't have to know anything about any of these products, and they can go through, click on the photos, they can zoom in on them, they can see them, and
can they comment?
They can comment, absolutely.
Oh, imagine that.
Imagine that. And they do need a free Adobe ID to at least comment, but they can look for without doing anything. And so if they say, I like this, and they can even leave a little heart on it and post. Now you might be saying, well, okay, do I have to keep checking my web browser to see who posted and who liked comments and who did whatever? And the answer is no. When we come back to Lightroom, and I was in that collection already, so it may not have done it, but if we go back to, which photo was that? It was that one. We go back to that photo and we scroll down in the comment area. As soon as that syncs, there it is. There's the comment that just came down that says, Terry White likes this photo. And if I had
and the comments are just going to sync.
Yeah, the comments
it'll
will
take a
sync
second.
there. Yeah, it'll sync. But anyway, there's the one like, and the comment will come down as well.
Now, this is something that's incredibly useful for anybody who's doing modeling shoots, photo shoots, anything you have to get to a client.
Oh, I didn't save the comment, that's why.
Anybody that does anything for a client, let's say you shoot proofs and you're like, pick one of these pictures that's really good.
Yep.
Right? Before, what would happen is you'd have to go to the web module in Lightroom, which sucks. I'll just say that. You don't have to. I'll do it.
Because I like the web module. Anyway.
Apparently you like pain.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better. But in there, it's pretty much eliminated the need for that, I think, because you have this really good call and response.
I'll say it this way. For years, I've asked the Lightroom team, I begged, some of the Lightroom folks to give me a response gallery for the web module. And I never got it, so I ended up buying one. I ended up going to the turninggate.net and buying theirs. However, now you could get away with just this. You don't need to buy anything because you already have Lightroom as part of your Creative Cloud membership, and this is included.
And now Turninggate is going, no!
Well, the Turninggate, just like anything else, the third-party plugin will always do more. Yeah. So it does more than this. Yep. But if this basic need is all you have, then you're already there.
So and you know what? And that's the thing. Look, now, guys, we've just talked about two things. There's some stuff that's happened here on the phone that I absolutely love. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like we want to, obviously with Lightroom Killer Tips and with the shows and things like that, we want to do more to be able to share that message. But it still shocks me as to how many people don't know that these things are there.
I know.
And it's one of those, and it's like, you got to go out and try it. You got to download the mobile app. You got to go to the browser, take a look at it. Just play with it for a little bit, and I can guarantee you that you're going to find solutions to the problems that you have as a user of Lightroom on your tablet, on your browser, on your phone. Yes, sir.
And it's a loaded question.
Okay.
But it's one that I get all the time.
Yep.
How many photos can you sync with Lightroom Mobile?
You can sync as many as you want with that picture.
You mean it's not limited to the 20 gigs of Creative Cloud space or 2 gigs here and there?
No.
Unlimited syncing. See, that was a setup question.
No.
He knew the answer was great.
But that's the thing. Like, how do we get that message out? Like, how do we talk to people?
Unlimited.
Guys, when we finish this episode, we want you to come back on YouTube, on Kelby TV, share it, talk to people about it, because I really do think that Adobe has done a phenomenal job with this portion on Lightroom. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about
a bunch of questions there too.
Yeah. I'm gonna scroll through these. I want to grab. We're trying to pull double duty here because we don't have anybody monitoring the comments. So I want to look through all of these. I want to talk to you about some of the changes that they've done on the iPhone that I think are going to be great, and then we'll take some additional questions and some tips.
Cool.
We'll do that all right here on the grid.
All right.
See you guys in a bit.
Create your own space at squarespace.com.
My name is Steve Hansen. I'm a commercial food and beverage photographer. Come check out my class on food photography and lighting and styling. We're going to be going over a variety of things like the Broncolor Scoro. We're going to be looking at the Westcott Ice Light and numerous different modifiers and ways of manipulating light on food to make it look absolutely amazing. So come check out my class in Kelby 1.
When it comes to flying drones, finding updated instruction that isn't filled with a bunch of technical industry jargon is tough. If you're looking for simple, easy-to-follow lessons on setup and calibration, flight modes and camera techniques for your DJI Phantom 3, you can find it right here on KelbyOne.com. I'm Mia McCormick. Together with John McQuiston, we'll cover exactly what you need to know to fly safely and capture amazing footage in our latest class on the DJI Phantom 3. So if you're ready to fly, start with us on Kelby One.
Welcome back, everybody. RC here with the incomparable Terry White on the grid. We're taking
everybody.
your Lightroom questions.
Lightroom questions?
And one of the first questions that's going to happen is, look, I think Lightroom has killed it in terms of all of this kind of stuff. Have there been some challenges? Yes, there has been some challenges. Probably one of the biggest challenges that was out there is this entire import module thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Doesn't work for some people, crashes on others, blah, 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 blah. Yep. Was it bad? It's not for Adobe to be able to say it was bad. Actually, you know what? It is for Adobe to say, because guess what? Tom Hogarty went on the Lightroom blog and turned around and said, look, we're sorry. This is how we let you guys down. We want to be able to do better. Was it problematic? Yeah, the funny part about it was that it wasn't for everybody. Like, it was like sporadic. And
well, there's a combination of issues, I think is what it is, because just like a lot of people didn't notice the new features in that update because they were spending time either talking about or reading about problems that some people were having. So on day one, there were some issues with Lightroom running on a Mac with El Capitan. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't have El Capitan, then you weren't having the issue. On day one, you were fine.
Like me. Right. I was totally cool.
And then that literally like 4 days later, that Friday, the 2.1 update came out, which resolved the crashing issue. Okay, focus moved from the crashes to, hey, what's this new import dialog box? And anytime you change something that users are used to for years and years and years, even though technically it's supposed to do the same thing, there will always be people that just don't like it because it's different. Mm-hmm. Now, there were some other challenges with that import dialog box, which led to Tom, going through feedback by feedback, comment by comment, everywhere that he could read it, and then writing that letter on the Lightroom Journal. He wrote the apology saying, I read your feedback. You're right. We're going to return the old import dialog box back to Lightroom. And then we'll work with you going forward on what maybe if there is a new dialog box what it would look like.
See, and that's the part that I thought was kind of weird. And I'm just going to take an audible out of that. You know, just going to go in a different direction with it, because did I enjoy the fact that they took a couple of the features out? No, I didn't. For me, I would have wished that they would have stayed there. But I wasn't having too much of a hard time with it looking differently or them having a different split screen. And people are like, it's consumerizing the product. It's consumerizing the product. And I'm like, it's not your product. You didn't make it. If they want to go reach more people, let them go reach more people. It's like, it's supposed to be for pros. For me, it always felt like a get off my lawn argument.
Well,
like, this is my thing.
yeah.
Now, that said, there were problems with it, right? There were problems, and there were a couple of different things, like, you know, like the eject after import.
Yep, that was my pet peeve.
Right? So there were things that were that. I gotta give them credit that they owned up to it and they said, listen, we're gonna make it right. Adobe's historically been a company that's listened to that kind of stuff. It fell out of step, but they fixed it. So we're moving. Now, the problem with that, although, I thought was that it did kind of cast a shadow over all of these other things that they did that were really cool. Like a lot of
for
that
example,
stuff.
most people don't know that in the .2/.21 update that we got dehaze on an adjustment brush.
Yeah.
We got dehaze on the graduated filter and radio filter. People don't even know those features are there because they were spending so much time focused on those other areas.
Yeah, and that was one of those things where I was just like, man, that sucks, because I think that they really did do a good job of a lot of this stuff. Now, I want to just kind of switch over to my phone and just show you guys a couple of the different things that I thought was really cool in this Lightroom site on the phone. Right off the bat, my number one thing for this is, oh, here, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I got the touch enabled. My number one thing is on that lower right-hand corner.
The camera.
This.
The Adobe camera.
The Adobe camera. Hi, guys. Hey, what's going on? Inception. Okay, so I'm going to switch this. I'm going to move this. So you have your own camera. Now, obviously, I'm not taking a picture. I'm going to take a picture of my Olo clip. That's right there, right? But right off the bat, the inclusion of a camera is really cool. And people are like, oh, well, you know, you already have a camera. Yeah, you do. But guess what? You don't have a camera that does white balance.
Right. That you can set white balance for,
right.
Just like
I
you do
want
on
this
your
to be
DSLR.
fluorescent, right? And I want this to be cloudy. I want this to be
Custom.
Fill it with a neutral
Right.
surface.
So, like, point to your laptop, which is a nice neutral gray. You can now set that as your white balance for that shot.
So obviously it's a shadow and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff, which is kind of weird. But the fact that you can set a custom white balance, I think is kind of cool. The fact that it has a horizon indicator, I think is kind of cool. This is my favorite. Exposure compensation.
I know, right?
How many times have you done a shot where all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I need this to be darker. Oh, wait, I need this to be brighter.
And you don't have to do it after the fact. You're doing it before you take the picture.
So you get a good shot.
Right.
So that part, I think, is really, really nice. The fact that you can do timers. So right off the bat, when you're doing this and you're taking a shot, now the shot is inside of here, and now you can go back in and start doing, oh, low battery. Now you can start doing all of the other stuff that you talked about.
Right.
So right off the bat, the camera alone, just the adjustments that they've made to the camera alone, make this thing a really, really good addition to this.
And that was something I asked for a long time ago. So I got my feature.
So, but I have the same thing. Like, I have all of the collection, my collection of everything that I keep right here in one spot. And from inside of here, you're on the phone, and I can turn this. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better, right? So now I can go, all right, well, I'm going to adjust this. All of the different functionality sits right here on the phone. Oh, you know what? I need to change the temperature of this file. I can go ahead and change this right here on the phone. Oh, I want to be able to change the white balance. I can do all of that stuff. I can click on the sprocket, and inside of here, color and black and white. Oh, wait a minute, though. What's that thing right there? That little dot on the left.
That looks like the targeted selection tool.
That you have in Lightroom. Click on it. Now I can go click on a specific color, and then that color can be changed. So just that hue itself. Oh, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to grab this color. And click on it, grab this color. Now that color can be changed. Now, would I do this with hue and saturation? Maybe not. But I do it with black and white.
Absolutely.
And that part I think is really cool because now I can grab this and be like, this color right here.
And you're adjusting your black and white based on the colors in the original photo, just like you would in Lightroom.
Exactly. That part I thought was really, really cool.
All right, RC, can I be devil's advocate and give you the thing that people always give me?
Sure.
Well, what's the workflow? I already did all that in Lightroom, and now the images are on my phone or tablet or whatever. Why would I need to do that on my phone?
A lot of the times, I'll give you one of my.
And I'll give you my answer to that too.
Okay. Well, why don't you give me the answer because
All right.
I'll talk about my workflow.
When I get
because
that
I have a
question,
workflow.
my answer is, you're right. I'm the same way. The images that end up on Lightroom mobile usually came from the desktop, and I did do all those adjustments. However, you just showed off the new Adobe camera. And if we think about it, where are we capturing not all, but a great deal of our photos? From these. And where are we sharing them? Usually when we capture them, we're out in the moment. From these. So why should I have to wait till I get back to my desk to make that photo that I just took with that camera I use often look better? And if I got back to my computer, what would I be doing in Lightroom? The same things you just did in Lightroom Mobile. So before I share it, now I'm super sensitive to, well, can I make that look better in Lightroom before I share it? Or even better, can I retouch it in Photoshop Fix before I share it? And that's when I do it. So that's my answer to, well, I don't need to do all that on my mobile device. Then are you taking pictures with your mobile device? Do you just share them right out of the camera?
No.
You don't do that with your DSLR. So why should you have to do it with your mobile?
Yep. But see, and I think that like my big thing for what I do is a lot of the times what I wanted to be able to do is free myself up from the computer when I'm doing very specific portions of a photo job, like culling and editing. Perfect example. My friend Latanya's here. We went out and we shot a high school cheerleader team. They needed some pictures. We went out and we shot them. I shot the better part, I think, of like 1,000 pictures. Bracketed, there were probably kind of 2,000 or 3,000, right? I dump it into this and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done for the rest of the day. Like, I don't want to look at the computer. I don't want to play with it. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. But I do got to kind of get through the job. Like, I got to finish the job at one point or another. So I like the fact that you can sync the collection. And there's times that I'm sitting outside, it's late, I'm having a cup of coffee, I'm sitting on my bed, and all I want to be able to do is just grab, so I'm going to go to, just to kind of give a producer thing, I'm going to go to one.
Yeah, show the new interface for doing dual rating.
Well, here, let me see. Let me log in here. So we'll go in there. Am I in? Mirroring. So now, I'm looking at these pictures, right? So right from inside of here, I have all of the shots that I want. I can go into each individual pictures, and right here, flags, rates, stars, anything that I need to do from here. But I don't even have to go click, click, click. I can just swipe up, swipe down. That's not the one that I want. Move to the next one. That's the one that I want. Next one. So I have the next one. And I can continue to work in a very, very natural. I don't want to do keyboard shortcuts. I just want to kind of browse through it and go, what's my next picture? I got a tip for you. What's my next picture? And look, if you work on it in
I got a tip. Hold your finger down on one image. Just hold it down. See, okay, you're on speed. Go to speed rating combined. Speed review combined at the bottom. Now, when you swipe up on the left, it'll be a pick flag. When you swipe up on the right, it'll be a star.
What?
Yeah.
Look.
See?
Next.
Right.
She's a pick. She's a 5-star. She's a 1-star. 1-star.
No, I think she's at least a 3-star.
No, she's a 1. No, she's 2.
All right, 2. Split the difference.
Reject and 4 stars.
Come on, dude. What are you doing? Rejecting 4 stars. What can it be? It's either.
I was just doing it just to do it. But anyway, there's a lot of changes that they've done to this thing that are really good. Let me check it out. Question for Sherry. Does Adobe plan to work with Apple to incorporate iPhone Live photos when viewing into Lightroom? We couldn't even answer it if you did know.
Yeah, if I did know, I couldn't answer. I can't answer a future question of what date is something coming out, what features being implemented, even if I know the answer, because Adobe has a policy of not pre-announcing things unless they themselves, meaning the corporation, pre-announces things. So I'm not at liberty to say.
Right. So even if you could, you did.
Even if I could.
Anyway. So
He
let's
can say whatever he wants. I can't.
I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we want to answer your questions. We'll try to give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to be able to manage all of your pictures now everywhere using Lightroom. Stick around. We'll be right back.
All right.
Need a little boost? Then fill up on fuel. Packed with practical tools and tips that will help you quickly advance your creative skills, these short ebooks get right to the heart of what you need to learn. Learn to shoot breathtaking nature photography, teach yourself game design, or impress your friends with the rockin' design of your new website. Written by top authors and trainers, Fuel Books offers friendly, straightforward instruction and innovative ideas to power your creativity. Starting at just $5, every Fuel Book comes in 3 formats: Mobi, EPUB, and an elegantly laid out PDF, so you can choose the reading experience that works best for you on whatever device you choose. Fuel Books, designed to inspire you.
I was very, very fortunate to shoot on location at an unbelievable place. The problem was when I posted the shots online, people would go, oh, well, sure, if you get to shoot in a place like that, you can make great shots. They're right. So what we wanted to do in this class is be able to show you how some of those shots were created that looked like they were done in the multi-million-dollar mansion, but we actually did them on an incredibly low budget. All you need to do is be a little clever and you can create some amazing images.
Welcome back, everybody. RC here, Mr. Terry White on the grid. We're talking everything Lightroom. We've showed you how to be able to take your stuff from your desktop and put it up in the cloud. We've talked about, once it's on the cloud, how to be able to navigate on a browser of all things to do your edits. We've then taken it into the iPad and shown how you can do a lot of these edits on a tablet device.
Yep.
We've talked about how to be able to now use the built-in features of the camera. We've talked about public galleries, response galleries, all of the different changes. We've addressed the import thing. If you have a question and you want to join the conversation, make sure that you go to the chat module and leave us a question. We're trying to read these as best we can. The one question for Terry: does Lightroom Mobile double the space your photos take up? Now, I'm curious about that.
Okay.
Does it double the space?
I know what he's referring, or he or
Okay.
she is referring to.
Okay.
So if we can switch to my tablet for a second, or whatever this is. Yep. Excuse me. So we have, here's what's going on. So when you import images into Lightroom Mobile from, let's say, your camera roll, you didn't use the Adobe camera, then yes, it is doubling the space because the image is still in both places. However, these 1,995 images that I've got here that have been imported in, whether they were from the camera or from the camera roll, I can now go back to the camera roll and delete them, because once they've synced to Lightroom Mobile, I don't need them in both places anymore.
Right.
So yes, it is going to double until you decide that it doesn't need to double anymore. In other words, you import 10 pictures into Lightroom Mobile, you don't, once they're synced, they're on your desktop in their full resolution, you don't need them on the camera roll anymore, then you can delete them. So then at that point, it's not doubling space.
Right. Done. There you go. Now, let's see, something else. Let me see, another question here, another question. Somebody had just, they were talking about my star ratings. They're just like 10 stars if they could do it. Now, guys, I just want to be able to point out for the record, what I am rating when I'm looking at these things, I'm not rating the people, I am rating the quality of the photography.
Absolutely.
That is something.
Yes.
All of the people that I shoot are genderless and neutral in my
Right.
eyes.
So when I made a joke about the, at least she's a 3-star.
Yeah.
We're talking about the image quality.
We're
It
talking
was at
image,
least
image quality.
Right.
It
It was
never
at
has to
least
do
a
with the
3-star.
person. Come on, guys.
Absolutely.
Stick with it. Now, why don't we do this? Can you give us a tip on the mobile side?
I can.
I'd
I can
love
give
a
you
tip.
2.
Okay.
All
I'm
right,
going to
2
set up.
quick
I'm going to
ones.
tee up a tip.
All right, here we go. Back to the computer. Tip number 1, that the new version of Lightroom Mobile on iOS, if we go to this collection here, and here's a photo that I took back in 2010. And you saw it look good for a second there because Lightroom just updated the metadata to show this is what it really looks like. This photo I took in Egypt in 2010, and I never used it. I always liked the photo, but I never used it because it was just horrible light, bad day, bad sun, worse conditions to be out shooting in. However, if I go to the adjustments now, on Lightroom Mobile, just like I have on Lightroom on the desktop, I can swipe up and I now have dehaze on Lightroom Mobile. So I have dehaze in Lightroom on the desktop, dehaze in Lightroom on the web, and now dehaze in Lightroom on iPad and iPhone. All right, that's one tip, that you do have dehaze. The other tip, and here I'll scroll up to my portfolios. So that portfolio concerts right there that has 14 images in it. Let's go ahead and tap on it. There we go. So these are the 14 images we've been playing with earlier. Now, these 14 images are loading their previews and showing everything because I have an internet connection. But what if I want to have my portfolios no matter what? I want those portfolios with me at all times, whether I have an internet connection or not. I may be showing someone my images on a plane, and I don't have the Wi-Fi on a plane, which is rare. But I fly Delta, so we have Wi-Fi. But in the middle of the ocean where I don't have Wi-Fi, I could go in and say, for that collection, tap the little menu, and there's an option for enable offline editing. When I do that, I'm telling it to download, in this case, the 22 megabytes worth of smart previews so that I don't need an internet connection to work on those photos. So you can do it a collection by collection type thing. And technically, I should do it for all my portfolios, because portfolios are things I want to be able to show whether I have an internet connection or not. And I've done this on my phone. I've taken the time to go through each collection and download them. They don't take up that much space. And it's great because now if I disconnect from the internet, don't have Wi-Fi, don't have 4G, I can still work on those photos and show those photos no matter what. So that's my tip.
Nice, nice. I just got completely sidetracked because I was sitting there and I was looking at this, and here, so I see this. I go to my main catalog now. I'm just gonna switch to number 1 here.
Okay.
I'll show you, just because it's dumb. I do a lot of dumb things. If you know me personally, you'll notice that I have a lot of dumb moments. But like my dumb moment was I was gonna make a reference about a person serving me coffee in a banana costume, and I'm just like, this is like my peanut butter jelly time moment. It's just, I don't know what it has to do with anything, dude. I just saw it there. I was gonna say something, I don't know. But anyway.
Okay, it's that time in the show. Yes,
it's random. The
random.
medication is
medication's
wearing off.
Okay, got it.
Well, the thing that I wanted to talk about was one of the things that we had an issue with, I think, in Lightroom was the saving of presets.
Yep.
Right. So if you were in a spot, right, like this.
Oh, I know what you're going to show, but I won't spoil it.
Right.
I know what he's going to do. It's pretty cool.
What happens here is, let's say you have a picture and you want to take this picture and you want to create a preset for it, right? So I'll come over here and I'll switch this over to black and white. I'm going to come over to this here and I'm going to change this color, bring this up. Then I'm going to do a little bit of split toning. I'll take my shadows, and I always tell people blue's where it's at. I usually add just a hint of blue into stuff, so it kind of gives it a little bit of a selenium look. I'm going to come over here, increase my contrast. Now, get rid of the, you could tell that this, oh no, that's fine, actually. So from here, I have this all set, and I'm gonna call this, under the presets, I'm gonna, notice it's on the Portlandia, I'm gonna call it, let's call it Cage-Free Blue. All right, so I'm gonna call it Cage-Free Blue under Portlandia. And I'm gonna click on Create. Now I've saved that. Now, that's part of this collection. Now, if I were to do this, and I'm gonna jump over to this side, I'll go ahead and I'll go to 3 so that we have the option. And I'll log in here, and I'm gonna go over to the Lightroom. Inside of there, I'll go to my picture, and I'm going to hope that that syncs fast enough. Now, let's see, ¿Dónde está? Where are you?
While he's waiting for that to sync, I just want to point out something about syncing in general. When you're doing a demo, that's when you're kind of waiting for something to sync from one to the other. Mm-hmm. In a real world scenario, you're out somewhere with a device making changes. Yeah, by the time you get home, it will be synced. So rarely are you having the 2 devices next to each other making a change. Well, how come it hasn't synced yet? Oh, there it is. It took 2 seconds. So this waiting that we're doing is only because we're showing things back and forth between the 2.
Right. It's not.
It's not real world. Real world, yeah, by the time you get home, it'd be synced just fine.
Okay, so let's scroll. Right now, the bigger problem that I'm running into is just finding the freaking picture.
I don't know how you see it all with all the metadata turned on.
I know. I'm like, but I'm just trying to be able to just find it. Don't list your
I got another tip if you want.
Okay, give me another tip.
All right, switch to me. I'll give another tip while he's looking for it.
Okay, let me get my picture. I'm staring right at it. There you are.
All right. So here I am, and this is one of my favorite new things that, again, people will overlook. I'm in Lightroom Mobile. I've got a collection from one of the college students I photographed a couple of years ago. And this photo, I want to do some editing on. Now, your workflow in Photoshop in Lightroom would be, you would edit in Photoshop, make whatever Photoshop changes you wanted to make, and then save it, and it would send it back to Lightroom. Well, now we have the exact same thing in a mobile-to-mobile workflow. So if I go to my share button, I've got the same edit in command. And if I say edit in, I can now take it over to the new Photoshop Fix tool that will let me open this up in Photoshop Fix. It'll take it right to the healing brush. From here, I can zoom in and we can go in, we can spot heal. Just a little bit of that acne there. That is temporary anyway, so we don't mind removing things that are temporary. We can make our adjustments just like we would in, hang on, got a little carried away there. That's what I get for using my left hand. There we go. We can make the same kind of adjustments that we would make in Lightroom and Photoshop on the desk. And when we're done, you notice at the very top of the screen, there's a blue bar. It says, touch to save and return to Adobe Lightroom. And by the way, before I do that, there's a before and after button. So that's the before, that's the after, just a little bit of cleanup there. And I can now say, yep, return that back to Lightroom. And it will return it back to Lightroom just like it does on the desktop as a new photo. So here's the one that is the after. There's the one that's the before. I've got both versions of that photo now ready to go. So this was the one I would share.
Nice.
So you have round tripping between Lightroom Mobile and Photoshop Fix on phone and or tablet.
You're Vamp King. I got to tell you, you are good.
Oh, thank you.
He's like, I can knock this one in. As soon as he saw me pull up, he's like, we're done.
We're done.
Now here,
I was looking out of the corner of my eye. Okay, he's ready.
I'm like, you can tell this is what we do. Now, so check this out. So here's the preset, right? So the Portlandia thing. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to adjust. Under the adjust section, do I have an option for presets? All right.
You have an option for presets.
I have an option for presets.
Right.
But do I have the Portlandia? No.
No.
I don't have it. So it doesn't carry them over, right? But technically, what I could do is I can press and hold this down and go to copy settings. And under the copy settings, I can then move back, go to another picture, press and hold that down, and then go
wait for it to load. Okay, you did it. Yep.
Come on, baby. And then from there, just go into paste. Let me paste the settings.
I don't think you copied it the last time.
Oh, really?
Hang on. Hold it down. Copy settings. There you go.
Now you can take all of
and then you click OK. You bounced out of it. There you go.
So now from here, go to this one. Let it load.
There you go.
Let it load.
Now you got paste, and voila.
And you can push those settings over. So technically, you
do have custom presets. Just save them as images. You can even name the images or put them in a collection that's called presets.
And now you can take the presets.
And now you can take your custom preset. That's an awesome tip.
So, yes, thank you. And you know what? Hat tip to Scott Kelby. He was the one that actually told me about it. He was just like, hey, you want to do something cool? Just name your preset. And I'm like, brilliant. But here's the last thing, too. Like, I have this entire collection of pictures that I want to share at any point in time. I can grab all of this, click on the up thing here, and just create all of this stuff inside of Slate.
Oh.
An app that we haven't even talked about.
I know, right?
So they've created some stuff. Now, if you want to see something really cool on the application of how to do this in Slate, I'm going to switch over to one.
Didn't Scott just do one?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was going to show. Like, I'm like, he took it and did a really cool thing with this on Slate. So just make sure that I'm at one. Inside of here, I'll switch. Oh, if you haven't seen it, make sure that you take a look at the guest blog post with Chris Gillette. So great work. But here, location lighting class, there's the Morgan Library. You want to see what all of this stuff right here, slate.adobe.com. We'll go ahead and we'll click on this because they have made this really, really pretty. And I think that this is going to be where a lot of people are going to want to share their stuff. This was all created in Slate. Look at that.
How much is Slate?
49 something. Oh no, it's free.
It's free.
And that's the thing. So now you can take your pictures and you can create something like this in no time flat. Indented quotes, pull quotes. You can do galleries, right? There's single pictures. There's multiple galleries of pictures.
Tell your story with Adobe Slate.
I mean, it's a lot of that stuff.
Well, RC, if I remember correctly, you're a video guy, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Go back to your iPad for a second.
I hope I have it installed.
No. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Switch so they can see it.
Yep.
Okay. Go to the share button again.
Yep.
And you see that create a video in Clip? Mm-hmm. Does the same exact thing. It takes all those pictures over to Premiere Clip and syncs them together as a music video. You pick the soundtrack and it'll automatically adjust the photo to the beat.
The amount of stuff that has happened with Adobe on this for photographers in this one, they've done tons of other stuff in tons
Even
of
if
other places.
you've never edited a video in your life, one button, send to Premiere Clip or edit in Clip, it comes up, it's already edited. You just change the song to whatever you want and play.
Yep. They've done some really
That's
good
all
stuff.
you have to do. If you know more, you can of course edit the video to your liking. But as is, just make the collection in the order you want, send it over to Premiere Clip, you've got a video ready to go.
I was using Clip to do dumb Instagram video when I was driving. I got to show
There's no
They're
dumb
complete.
Instagram video. They're all very intelligent.
It's just nuts. But anyway, Terry, thank you so much for coming out here.
Well,
thank you so much for sharing all of this information. I think that this is a good conversation for us to have on all of the features that a lot
Do
of
we have a
people
last
don't
minute
know.
question?
Oh, do
or are
we
out of
have?
time?
Terry,
I'll make sure we get some questions.
have you had any part in the development process of Lightroom or Photoshop?
The only part I've had in the development process is giving ideas. So if you remember the eject button that was in the import dialog box, that will be coming back. That was actually a feature I requested back in Lightroom 1 or 2 when it first came out. So my features sometimes get in. So for this version, it's, what was I saying? What was my feature?
The eject button.
No, before the new one.
Oh,
I
not
forgot
the
what it
haze
is.
and a brush. No.
No, not that. But anyway, sometimes my features get implemented, and I always, the camera. Adobe Camera, not all those features, but just having the camera app inside of Lightroom Mobile. That was my request. Now, they took it to the next level by adding the white balance and the rule of thirds
knocked
and
it
the
out.
level and all. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park.
They knocked it out.
But that was my original suggestion to Tom Hogarty was, can we have a camera in Lightroom?
Nice. I got a couple things that I could talk about.
Go ahead.
But no. We're out of time.
We gotta
I
pay
think
the bills.
It's good. We're doing really good. Now, guys, we could talk about this endlessly. However, you were also here to be able to do a class for Kelby 1.
I was.
Please tell me about the class that you're doing for Kelby 1.
One of the things that people, like you guys just learned a ton of stuff that I'm sure some of you didn't even know you could do with Lightroom Mobile.
Right.
Well, imagine that 10 times for people that are on Creative Cloud. There are all kinds of little things in Creative Cloud that you could be taking advantage of that most people don't even know are there. So I did a class today. I recorded it so they can have it on their class, their online training, how to take advantage of Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yep.
All the little things in Creative Cloud that you already have, you're already paying for in your membership, that you can now take advantage of.
All right. That'll be great. Now, listen, all of these classes are available. We would be remiss if we did not talk about this. We are doing this as a part of Kelby 1. If you want to see what I believe, and a lot of people believe and agree with me, that it is the world's best training in Photoshop, in Lightroom, in photography, please go take a look at it right now. You can go to kelby1.com. The newest classes that we have right now, we have a great inspirational interview with Roberto Venezuela, with Mia McCormick, location lighting with Scott Kelby. Pete Collins has done some creating characters in Illustrator. How to Stay Motivated in Photography by Rick Salmon. Steve Hansen has a food photography class. There's a ton of information here. Pete Collins is again on Illustrator stuff. We got navigating Photoshop. We have stuff on quadcopters. I mean, this class right now, visual literacy, one of my favorite classes that's out there. Daniel Gregory. If you haven't
cool.
seen him, I think you're going to absolutely love it.
I got to catch up on my Kelby One watching.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of really good stuff. So make sure that you go take a look at that at kelby1.com. We're going to give away, in the spirit of Lightroom, a couple of books as well on the concept of Lightroom. The first of which is from Mr. Scott. Well, they're both from Mr. Scott Kelby. It's How Do I Do That in Lightroom? So the quickest way to do the things you want to do right now. So we're going to give you that away, and we're also going to give away the Lightroom CC book for digital photographers by Scott Kelby, spiral bound edition, which I think is kind of neat.
Yep, it's great for taking notes. Great for
you sit down and
as a class.
When you do it as a class, you want it spiral bound. How are you going to do this? You're going to go to kelby1.com/webcast/contest, or you could just do kelby1.com/contest. It'll bring you right to the same page. Put in your name, put in your email address, leave us a comment, and one of you guys is going to win both of those.
Well,
books.
guess what? There's something else they're gonna have a chance to win that they didn't even know about. He didn't know about. No one knew about.
Okay.
I'm throwing in, for you guys watching all this cool stuff about Lightroom, a full year of Adobe Creative Cloud photography plan.
Okay.
Photography plan. Let's be clear. The photography plan for a full year, and if you already have it, it adds on. You can just use it as your renewal, and it'll add another year to you.
Nice.
So we'll draw for one of those two.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Hey, listen, I would be remiss if I also didn't ask you about your TW broadcaster.
Oh yeah, there is a TW broadcaster.
There is a TW broadcaster. Tell me a little bit about that before we go. Quickly. I want to hear it.
So the TW broadcaster is an idea that I came up with right at Photoshop World. That's where I had the ideas. I was already using Periscope to do live broadcasts. This is a very, very professional set live broadcast over the web, but Periscope is Twitter's app to do live broadcasting, and Facebook got into the same game where they're doing, for their public figures, they're doing Facebook mentions live. So I thought, well, instead of me live broadcasting the same thing twice, having to show it to two different audiences, and sometimes that's impossible because whatever you're broadcasting has changed or will go away, I wanted to do simultaneous broadcasting with two devices. Now, I'm not going to carry two phones, but I will carry a phone and an iPod Touch. So there's a magnetic version of this, and now I can do a simultaneous side-by-side broadcast. That's what the TW broadcaster is for.
Nice. And if you want to find out more information on that, you could go to...
the folks that make it and sell it are archon.com.
Now, I will tell you that the place that I think that you should go for a ton of different things outside of that is Terry White's Tech Blog. Go to terrywhite.com. He's the guy that I go to whenever I need any kind of technical solution. I'm like, what does Terry say about it? What does Terry say about it? So I scroll up and down and try to find that. So that is one of those things. So you gave a gear recommendation. I'm going to give a gear recommendation because I just thought about it. The DOS keyboard. Now, I haven't even seen this, but if you want to talk about something that I'm lusting after, these guys are it. Right? If you like clickable
Why do you
keyboard,
like it?
Why do I like it? Okay, so it has USB 3 imports inside of it, really, really thick braided cable into it. The design is really, really nice, but it's also a mechanical keyboard. So if you've ever used a keyboard that has like a click on it, this is the thing that for you to use. Like if you're doing a lot of typing, I think it's very, very precise. I think that this is going to be really good. I'm just trying to think about whether or not I want to pull the trigger and actually do it. I'm like,
Now, let me ask you a question, because I get this question all the time.
Right.
Do you work for DOS Keyboard?
No. I do not work for DOS Keyboard.
And I don't work for Archon.
I run through the same, look, we do the same things. We look at that stuff and we go,
talk about it because we love it. It's passionate. We're passionate about gear.
It's cool.
I don't work for Logitech either. I work for Adobe. So yeah, I'm passionate about Adobe because that's my job. I'm a worldwide evangelist. But I love tech. So if I get excited about something, no, I'm not being paid by them to talk about it. I'm not being paid by Logitech. You're not being paid by Clip. We're not being paid by any of these folks. We just talk about the gear we love.
Yeah, it's just neat. It's pretty cool. So, and we struggle with it. So anyway, I wanted to share it with you guys because it was one of those things that's been in my brain and I wanted to do it to you. Terry, thanks so much for stopping by, man. I really hope you come back soon.
I hope I do too.
We got to do some more stuff.
I'm closer now. I should be able to
You are closer. You are closer. You can come down here. But anyway, thanks to all of you guys for stopping by here on The Grid. Make sure you come back here next week. I think Scott is back. I'll be back, and we'll have another set of things to talk about. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.